24-year-old Missouri murder investigation. Several coronavirus vaccines are in development. We break down what you need to know about the two that are ready for approval. And we look at 2021 projections for the movie theater industry as more films announce plans to go straight to streaming.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Fire officials investigate a deadly house fire early this morning in Joplin. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, a 68-year-old man is dead and 2 women remain in the hospital after their home goes up in flames overnight. The Joplin Fire Department responded to the fire on the 1700 block of South Pitcher shortly before 4 a.m. this morning with 9 units and 21 personnel. The first crew arrived to find the single-story home with heavy smoke and flames. Firefighters entered the house and were able to find and remove 68-year-old David Crowder. 2 females had already escaped the house. All 3 were taken to the hospital where Crowder later died, and one of the females is currently in critical condition. Officials are still investigating what started the fire. Prosecutors charge a man in a 3-decade-old Missouri cold case. The murder dates back to July of 1986 when the partially nude body of Kristen Edwards was found in rural Franklin County. Court documents show 34 years later, an eyewitness has come forward claiming to have witnessed the murder in a cabin near where the body was found. Authorities later arrested 59-year-old Kenneth Avery Jr., who was at one time a suspect in the murder. 4 children are now safe at home after being rescued from a wooded area in Sequoyah County, Oklahoma. The kids ages 5, 6, 7, and 9 were reported missing Tuesday afternoon after they walked away from their grandmother's house. They were found early yesterday morning near Ten Killer Dam. A helicopter crew searching for the children noticed their small flashlight through the trees. The youngest kids were clutching their little dog, Buttercup, for warmth.
It's a miracle the little kid had the flashlight on him in the first place, but it ended up possibly saving their lives.
They're angels in my eyes. I mean, I don't know what I'd done if they didn't find my babies.
The kids say they left to go to their aunt's house, but then got lost. Community members are giving them new shoes and coats to replace what they lost in the woods. Well, you can help the United States Postal Service keep the magic of jolly old St. Nick alive. It's part of the agency's first ever nationwide Operation Santa. Starting today, volunteers can go to the USPS website and peruse letters from kids. People can then choose as many letters as they want, write back to the child, and even send them gifts. Well, yesterday, you might have said it's starting to feel like Christmas, but I don't know about that now.
Not too bad today. Wait till we get to the 7-day forecast and
the
post temperatures on it. I think the big factor for this morning, we were finally able to kick the cloud cover that we had lingering on the eastern edge of southwest Missouri out in the other side of the Ozarks right there. So you can tell where the high pressure is. Big blue, beautiful skies over the Freeman Health System sky camera in Joplin. I haven't had much of a warm up. Luckily, we were able to get up into the mid 40s right here, but still that wind chill in effect. Only feels like it's 39 thanks in part to a west wind that'll actually increase during our afternoon and evening hours. Let's roll 45 in Independence, 45 in Carthage, and we'll throw a pair of 46s up in both Fort Scott and in Pittsburgh. Now, the nice thing is about future track, even that cloud cover on the other side of the Ozarks, it's gone by tonight. But of course, what does that mean when we lose our cloud cover? It's going to be another chilly night as we drop down close to, if not below, the freezing point, especially up to the north. Now, as we progress into Saturday, we remain very, very dry and consistently going to see temperatures above the 50-degree mark on Saturday. Now, Sunday, well, it's going to be just a touch cooler as we'll be down into the high 40s, but still not too bad. But Tanya, like we said, that's a nice little warm up as we have 60s by the middle of next week. We'll kind of dive into the weekend here when I see you in a bit. Also take a look at exactly what that wind is doing as far as what it feels like for the rest of the afternoon.
All right, sounds like a plan. Well, in the coming weeks, 2 coronavirus vaccines will go before the FDA for emergency use authorization review. If approved, state officials in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri plan to start distribution first to healthcare workers and those in long-term care facilities before the end of December. Laura Podesta has more on what you need to know about the vaccines.
Several coronavirus vaccines are in development, but the 2 ready for approval are from Pfizer and from Moderna. while the science is unprecedented and quicker than ever, the clinical trials are as rigorous and as detailed as they were for measles and polio and diphtheria.
Both vaccines are a new type called mRNA. They contain genetic information which instructs cells to produce harmless coronavirus proteins to trigger an immune response. Dr. Ruth Karen is with the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health.
95% efficacy against any COVID disease and 100% efficacy against severe disease.
Both trials enrolled tens of thousands of people. Both makers have reported the vaccines were well tolerated. Dr. Barry Bloom is with the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. He says he understands the public questioning the vaccines, and that's good to do. But with testing on such a large group, the evidence supports vaccination.
You have no serious side effects, at least during the period of the trial, and you have 95.4% protection against a disease that's killing people, filling up hospitals, paralyzing the healthcare system in this country. Think seriously about the risks and the benefits.
There are some unknowns, like whether the vaccines can prevent transmission.
It's not time to throw away your mask or start congregating again, because it could be that these vaccines protect your neighbor by preventing spread from one person to another, but we don't know that yet.
The other big unknown, how long will protection last? Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Both vaccines require 2 doses to achieve protection. Moderna's 2 doses are given a month apart, and Pfizer's are given 3 weeks apart. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, Warner Brothers announces a change in distribution that could have a devastating effect on movie theaters. We'll take a look. And later, a fill-you-up stuffed mushroom that needs to be on the top of your must-make list this holiday season. We're making secret ingredient stuffed mushrooms in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. And what could be a huge change for the future of movie-going, some of the biggest upcoming blockbusters will head straight to streaming. Warner Brothers announced all of its upcoming movies, from Dune and Wonder Woman 1984 to the new Tom and Jerry, will be on HBO Max on the same day they hit theaters. They say it's only through 2021, but as Carter Evans shows us, it could have a devastating impact on movie theaters, which have already been hit hard by the pandemic.
Releasing a movie simultaneously in theaters and online was almost unheard of less than a year ago.
Get used to it.
But when Wonder Woman 1984 premieres on Christmas Day,
In theaters and streaming on HBO Max.
it'll be the first of Warner Brothers' entire 2021 roster of new movies to be released in theaters and on its streaming service, HBO Max, at the same time.
It sort of redefines what a blockbuster looks like.
Matt Donnelly is a senior film writer for Variety.
Is this the beginning of the end of movie theaters as we know it?
I would say absolutely. They're suffering incredible losses financially, layoffs, and now we're heading into another round of extreme closures. So I think movie theaters as we know them will ultimately change.
Warner Brothers is holding nothing back, releasing 17 of the most anticipated films of the year, including Suicide Squad,
I can see it.
a remake of the classic Dune, and the Lin-Manuel Miranda adaptation, In the Heights.
It's time to make some noise.
How does this work financially for Warner Brothers?
The incentive here for Warner Brothers is to drive subscriber growth. When all 17 movies come out, they'll have an incredibly higher number of subscribers than they do now, something that can rival Disney and Netflix.
In a statement, the CEO of theater chain AMC accused the movie studio of sacrificing profit for subscribers, saying, "We will do all in our power to ensure that Warner does not do so at our expense." So far this year, theaters are grossing about $2 billion in the U.S. compared to $11 billion last year.
So they said that they're only going to do this for 1 year, but can you put that genie back in the bottle?
You can't sort of train your subscribers to expect these incredible, massive productions for free on HBO Max, and then after a year tell them, sorry, no, you're going to have to go see Matrix 5 in theaters.
The films will be available to subscribers at no extra charge, but they'll stop streaming after 30 days.
It sounds like this is great news for movie viewers.
Oh my God, absolutely. Especially for people who have been sort of trapped inside or have suffered a drought of content. So if you can watch Wonder Woman 1984 and then Zoom with your family about it, I mean, I'm sure that these are experiences people would hope they could have together in theaters, but now they'll still be able to for the price of a monthly subscription.
Carter Evans, CBS News.
What did you do?
Los Angeles.
Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Today we're sharing a holiday dish with its own little secret. Join us as we reveal the all-American ingredient that this budget-friendly recipe is made with.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Hope your Friday's going well and look forward to a great 4-state weekend. Wanted to put the wraps on our precipitation numbers from earlier this week since we're going to hit a dry spell here for really about the next week and a half. Ended up with about 0.7 of an inch. Not too bad considering, coming off of what the drought monitor is slowly improving as we head toward the end of the year. So we'll take it where we can get it. Our temperatures right now, it has been a little bit of a chilly morning. 45 in Carthage, 45 in Miami. Fredonia doing something right. They've already been able to push up to 50 degrees. Live look outside of Television City with beautiful blue sky. One of those high skies. Always great to see those. But you'll notice a little wind chill still in effect right now. That's thanks in part to that west wind. Now, it's not coming out of the due west. We've seen a little switch down here where it actually wants to work out of the southwest, and that's going to result in some warmer temperatures on Saturday. But for the time being, it's actually going to go about 10 to 15 miles per hour, even gust up to 20. And so what we're seeing is a wind chill in effect, 39 kind of being the very popular number. Found this kind of interesting, though. Wanted to pay attention to Yates Center up here because earlier this morning they had a wind chill of 17. But now we see Yates Center, one of the warmest places on the map compared to what we saw on the eastern portion of southwest Missouri. That's because they lost that cloud cover right there. And so, yeah, 7 degrees warmer in Yates Center compared to Mount Vernon and Cassville, despite the fact that it was about, 12 degrees colder this morning. Let's kind of break down the continental United States. Got the big trough of the jet stream right here. Now, this band that runs from the Gulf up toward the Tennessee River Valley made its way over the Appalachians towards the mid-Atlantic right there. That's the same organized system that gave us that 0.7 of an inch of rain that we talked about earlier. While it hasn't been severe, hasn't caused any flooding, has been impressive in scope in the fact that it has maintained that organization and been able to stay together really for about 3-4 days right now. Completely different story on the west coast. Look, you've got high pressure running from the Canadian border all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. High pressure and just nothing happening to the point where you've got air stagnation advisories in the Pacific Northwest. Think about, they got clean air up there, everything. No, air stagnation advisories mean that any burning, those particles going to hang up in the air, causes huge problems for people with respiratory illnesses and asthma. So like I said, maybe it's good that we get just a little breeze. Here in the 4 states, clean and clear as can be. Now, I know that we've got a good contingent of people from Lamar, Missouri. They're going to be making the trip up to Jefferson City this evening. That's to watch the Lamar Tigers take on St. Pius. That game's going to be held at Blair Oaks High School, bustling metropolis of Jeff City, where good old Blair Oaks. I've spent many a game there. Nice thing is, no travel concerns. Going to be absolutely great for the Missouri Class II title game that kicks at 7 o'clock tonight. All right, let's talk weekend here. As we push through, Tanya, we're going to see 50s tomorrow. Now, one thing I do want to point out, Saturday morning, patchy fog. It'll burn off quickly. And then look at our warming trend as we head into, that's that same one I was working on last week. Watch this warming trend as we head into next week as we're throwing 60s up on the board for, what would that be, mid-December, say, about that time? I'd qualify that as mid-December.
Sure.
You can't complain about 60 for mid-December.
Yeah, it could be so much colder.
Yep.
I'll take it. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Sergeant Michael Broadbeck in the U.S. Army. The soldier from Scamming, Kansas, joined the military in 1998. He served 4 tours overseas with the HHS 218 FA Mission Ready Battalion. To Sergeant Michael Broadbeck, we thank you, our 4-state hero. This year, holiday entertaining is taking on a whole new mindset. And today, Howard shows us a fun new approach with his recipe for secret ingredient stuffed mushrooms in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Today, we're sharing a holiday dish with its own little secret. So, what do we serve? Serve what I call main dish appetizers. Let me show you one of my favorite recipes that'll be perfect. It's stuffed mushrooms that have a secret ingredient. We start by dusting some catfish with seafood seasoning and baking it off. The reason I like using U.S. farm-raised catfish is that it's super mild, so it complements the other ingredients, yet it's firm enough to help them hold their shape. Plus, it's packed with protein, so it fills you up. Yes, that's the secret ingredient. While that bakes, we beat together cream cheese, mayo, scallions, some panko breadcrumbs, Worcestershire sauce, Swiss cheese, and a few spices. After the catfish has cooled, we flake it and fold it into our cheesy mixture. This is what turns regular stuffed mushrooms into a main dish appetizer. We spoon this into baby bella mushroom caps, top them with some panko breadcrumbs that we mix with a bit of paprika, and bake them off. The minute you set these out, everyone will be headed to the table. With these, you'll be known as the host or hostess with the mostest. To get the recipe for our secret ingredient stuffed mushrooms, simply visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a secretly stuffed way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Well, you can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
Not a whole lot of movement temperature-wise this afternoon. We'll get up into the high 40s for the most part. Tomorrow's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Watch the Saturday morning patchy fog, and then prepare for a warm-up next week as we see 60s on the horizon. Now over to Dow with a look at what's coming up tonight at 5.
Yeah, the U.S. economy is adding jobs, but not fast enough. For some families, unemployment assistance is set to expire in late December this month unless Congress can agree on a new stimulus package. Plus, more than 330 active COVID cases in Joplin, with the majority of them coming from the last 7 days. We're going to take a look at what could be causing those numbers to climb. And the director with the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services talks about the increased response as COVID-19 continues to evolve. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's all coming up on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.